Our episode commences with Alyssa as she awakens and discovers herself in a storeroom. It seems that she was abducted, as they rendered her insensible. Moments afterward, the captors move toward her, accompanying Jill, who has been savagely battered. She yells at them, insisting they liberate the boy instantly if they don't desire demise. She endeavors to utilize her magic to release herself, but ascertains it unattainable, as the band around her neck stifles her abilities. One of the men seizes her and ridicules her, stating, "What were you uttering, lass?" before striking her forcefully, propelling her to the floor. Jill cries out to her, "Alyssa, flee through the northerly egress." Another captor hits him and treads on him, sneering, "Appears we won't acquire any funds from this worthless lad. Should we simply eliminate him?" Infuriated, Alyssa manages to rise and delivers a direct blow to one of the men. Jill urges her to run, conveying he won't be capable of escaping as his limb was fractured. The men commence assaulting Alyssa, but she dodges their actions, fells one of them, and chills her hands. She employs her armament, but without slaying. She strikes with the blunt edge of her blade. Jill is astonished at her forbearance, even in such a predicament, exhibiting composure without exceeding the bounds. Another man unsheathes his sword, but Alyssa rapidly cleaves it in two. He attempts to escape, but she pursues, intending to strike him with the dull side of her sword once more. At that juncture, Liz restrains her, inquiring how she could conduct herself so savagely. Jill emerges at the aperture and shouts, "Cease, Liz! That individual is the genuine adversary." Just then, the man capitalizes on the instant, extracting another weapon and intending to dispatch Alyssa, but in the final moment, the prince arrives and rescues her. The guards notice the abductors instantly, yet the Duke is observed receiving a hit to his arm. He shrugs it off, telling Alyssa, "Anything for you." Others appear to inquire about their well-being, and Albert nears Alyssa, finding her injured and harmed, displaying his apprehension. Liz calls out to Albert and blames Alyssa for attempting to execute a non-resistant man. Jill interposes, clarifying that Liz misconstrued the men assaulted initially, and Alyssa was merely safeguarding him. Albert counsels Alyssa that she should have spoken to them serenely to circumvent a conflict, to which she retorts with a pointed inquiry, "Wouldn't you brandish your sword if a kinsperson was on the verge of being slain?" He answers, "No," prompting Alyssa to reprimand him, stating that he has disregarded the honor of a knight. Liz endeavors to advise Alyssa, conveying that violence solely engenders additional animosity, but Alyssa dismisses it as absurd, explaining she was compelled to defend herself to endure. "It's accurate," Liz counters, stating, "but you didn't perish, Alyssa. If you had just possessed a little belief, someone would have appeared to deliver you, as the Duke did for me." The prince irately interjects, telling Liz, "I didn't appear to deliver you, Liz. I did it for Alyssa. Cease being so conceited." He utilizes ice magic on her, cautioning that if Alyssa hadn't resisted, that boy would have been eliminated. "How can anyone deem you a saint when you comprehend nothing?" At that moment, a companion intervenes, imploring them to halt and give precedence to tending to Alyssa. He adeptly mends her as he is a gifted physician, though Alyssa forfeits a tooth in the course of events. It was probably dislodged when the captor struck her. Liz then proposes to heal her, but the Duke silences her, stating, "We don't require anything from you. Just remain silent." The Duke then directs everyone to depart if they concluded speaking, then conveys Alyssa to his residence. Alicia objects, requesting him not to handle her like a juvenile. Liz grows uneasy, surmising that the Duke may harbor affections for Alicia. Will guarantees Liz that the Duke considers Alicia as a younger sibling, advising her not to fret about Alicia, who is more than competent in managing herself. Liz feels a pang of sorrow as the Duke seems extremely solicitous about Alicia. The scene transitions to the Duke transporting Alicia. She informs him she can ambulate independently, but he rejoins that he won't abandon her since she's indisposed. Alicia. She becomes exasperated with his immoderate protectiveness. He replies that she's at liberty to act as she desires, but she must refrain from jeopardizing her life. Blushing profoundly, Alyssa perceives that the Duke cherishes her and contemplates her sentiments, recognizing that he is ultimately destined to be with the heroine, yet her pulse accelerates, leaving her uncertain of what's transpiring within her. The subsequent morning, Alyssa awakens to discover herself alongside the Duke in his bed. Astonished, she has no concept of how she terminated there or why he's reclining beside her. She silently deliberates, incapable of arriving at any resolution, and chooses to depart to gather her belongings. The Duke speaks, informing her he possesses her necklace, which he located in the pocket of one of the abductors. He requests her to draw nearer so he can reposition it around her neck. Just then Jill and Henry enter, requesting them to prepare for a discussion. They all proceed to the sitting room where Jill informs Alyssa he was apprehensive when she didn't awaken. He assures her that he's well now, as Henry tended to his grave wounds. He then presents her with the tooth she lost, requesting to retain it, as he once learned that teeth preserve recollections, and he doesn't wish to disregard what transpired that day, as it was extremely disheartening, recalling the ruthless beating he endured while bound. Alyssa apologizes for entrapping him in this predicament, explaining that the abductors were focusing on her. Jill replies that it's immaterial. He aspires to become more robust to shield her. Talia consents to permit him to keep the tooth as a keepsake. Henry then participates in the dialogue, telling Jill he'll mature into a remarkable gentleman one day. Alyssa inquires who masterminded the entire plot. Henry discloses it was a pupil from the academy named Neil Johnson, which astounds her as they've never encountered. He elucidates that Neil is a devout adherent of Liz, who attended the tea gathering in the Rose Garden and glared at her with intense animosity. As Alyssa reflects, recognizing he succeeded in deceiving her utterly, Alyssa states, "I won't allow him to escape with what they did to me, and now I'll enact my vengeance." And Henry responds, "Previously, you were near demise at the hands of the Duke." The royal lineage already penalized the Johnson family beforehand, prohibiting them from acquiring the magical sealing collar from storage, and even introducing outsiders to imperil a student's existence. Alyssa muses, "There's nothing additional I can accomplish, even though I'm the antagonist." The Duke conjectures, "I suspect that the sovereign might have participated in this occurrence." Jill is startled and asks, "Do you imply the sovereign mandated this?" Alyssa interjects, "I don't trust that's what transpired. It was probably an occasion to instruct the saint." The Duke clarifies that he pursued the mastermind and discovered from a royal onlooker, dispatched by his father, that Liz was apprised of Alyssa's location. He believed Liz required to resolve the predicament herself to develop as a saint. Jill inquires if the saint is that crucial, and Alyssa affirms, "Yes. The legendary saint delivers the kingdom ultimately, and I am the ideal selection to impede her as an evaluation." The Duke apologizes, stating, "It appears my father's sole preoccupation is the legendary saint." Gil adds, "But as the prince, you're predestined to wed Liz." Alyssa informed me that the saint's legend states she will marry the prince for a joyful conclusion. Alyssa contemplates, "That's how it's meant to be, even if he possesses affections for me. Destiny has linked him to the heroine, and I'm content with that. That's what I strive for." The Duke, nevertheless, declares, "I have no aim of yielding to that fate. I've selected my destiny. Happiness is something you generate for yourself." Jill apologizes for transgressing, explaining, "I misinterpreted your affinity for Alyssa while you're supposed to wed Liz. I'll embrace any penalty for my impoliteness toward a member of the royal household." The Duke reassures Jill, stating, "Titles signify nothing here. We both desired to safeguard Alyssa, and you share that sentiment." Jill expresses gratitude for his backing. Alyssa silently pledges to become more formidable. She is determined not to become prey to another unanticipated assault. She reflects on how current occurrences have deviated significantly from the game's narrative, veering down an ambiguous yet genuine route. Jill informs her in his tongue, "Level 80 at your age is remarkable. He proposes instead of being the antagonist, why not establish a reputation for yourself as the prince's chosen companion? Alyssa responds, no, I don't aspire to be commemorated in chronicles as merely someone's spouse. I desire my own name to be documented in chronicles, autonomous and potent. To achieve that, I must enact my function as the villain who obstructs the saint's path. Jill sighs, experiencing empathy for the prince, but their exchange is interrupted when a maid summons Alyssa, stating that the prince desires to meet her. Alyssa approaches him, stating, I don't concur with this. The prince replies, the affair is already resolved. You're no longer assigned with overseeing Liz. Alyssa insists, this is my determination exclusively. My function as her overseer was my exemption to access the academy. He replies, once you attain 15, you can enroll formally. No necessity for all this difficulty. He remarks, your magic has already eclipsed Albert's, which gratifies Alyssa, as she practiced diligently to attain that level. The prince admits, if I had understood it was so perilous, I would have never permitted you to confront such jeopardy. I was a simpleton to presume you'd be secure. Alyssa responds, I will never relinquish. Grant me one additional opportunity. He informs her he doesn't wish to witness her in peril again, and clarifies, you're only 13, yet your magic position's among the finest in the academy. But to persist overseeing Liz, you must reach level 90. Alyssa is astonished, thinking, you declared that's unachievable at my age. If he believes I'll capitulate, he's deluded. She appends, regard this as the final instance you enforced last-minute stipulations. She departs from him, resolute. Subsequently, Alyssa informs the maid she's determined, stating, I don't desire anyone near me until I achieve level 90.